Hi, scholars. Welcome to PJM330 Effective Project Scheduling Control. I'm Dr. Hogan. I'll be your instructor for the next 8 weeks. Today, I will present to you an overview of the Double Masters Project Integration Management and Simulation. For short, we'll just refer to it as a SIM. This is actually developed by a student a few semesters ago for a final project, and I thought it was really good sense of humor and a group overview to present to future students to get an idea of the simulation. So when you get into the simulation, start it kind of hopefully reduce some anxiety and confusion, because it's a pretty intense simulation and it can be really demanding. And if you're not familiar with project management or dealing with simulations, at least to give you some insight here of what the end product should look like. So today we will discuss the simulation. I'll give you an overall look at the simulation, an idea of it, some of the characters, the host, tools that you'll be involved with, look at some key decisions that can be pulled from there, how the learning curve theory can be pulled into the simulation, and some lessons learned and best practices that can be pulled out of here, as well as you gradually get through the simulation. Without further ado, I'll meet your host on this journey to simulation. He's one part teacher, one part sports announcer, one part fashionista, and 0 parts emotion. He may not smile. Well, damn, he looks good in that suit. But he never smiles. Simon is one of the who sets the stage for our experience, uses play-by-play to simulation progresses. He serves as a judge and jury for all decisions made in the simulation. With each decision, justification serves as brain and motionless response that would make Spock proud. We like Simon. We actually love Simon. He grows on you. He's a fresh face of LawNet, a simulated corporate employer. However, Simon is joined by an entire cast of additional faces that you will be met with. Each role in the organization's unique responsibilities and interaction with you, the project manager. It is your job to navigate a simulated project from beginning to end using advice, input from the project stakeholders. To do so, you are tasked with localizing a software offering from LawNet company called LawSim, the original English language version, to being translated to German, French, and Japanese. It's your responsibility to navigate all challenges that may come up during this project lifestyle. So this is a handful of people you will be dealing with on a daily basis. Let's look at some tools. To do so, you'll make a variety of tools available, including detailed work breakdown structure, aka WBS, featuring required tasks to accomplish the project. WBS reviewed multiple methods, including network diagrams and Gantt charts, all showing a critical path, which are among the most common options for project scheduling. There's also detailed project documentation covering everything from scope requirements, project management plan, all contained as what we commonly know as a project toolkit, or in some cases, project toolbox. Interchangeable mean the same thing. Don't get confused. This detail and document is gradually built upon the simulation progresses, giving you ample materials for every decision you make. So let's look at decision making. Again, our host, Mr. Emotionless himself, Simon, will be asking you questions. You have to make a decision at this point. So at this decision, you make the choice of a vendor for the translation. Like the decision here, you can see the use provide information project toolkit to make sure the information choice of the vendor. Simon will judge your choices and tell you if you made the correct choice or not. Anyway, these decisions, coupled with flexible schedule options, allow the freedom of you to flex your project management personality. Are you a conservative project manager who tries to bring a project in at a required date, minimal risk, and under budget if possible? Or are you comfortable with more aggressive tactics like crashing tasks to finish early while also increasing risk and overall budget? Whatever type you are, the simulation allows you to take these ideas into play and decide what you want to do, the project to proceed. So here you see like a status report. The simulation will react according to represented regular status reports on progress. These status reports for like performance index and cost forecasting methods meeting industry standards. Whereas in the status report, the cost performance index CPI and schedule performance index SPI showed a project is slightly over budget, CPI of 0.97, and right on schedule for SPI of 1.0. These types of matrices give projects managers verifiable, and simple data for the progress of the project. Let's talk about some lessons learned we'll see in the simulation. The overall simulation is divided into 7 lessons, 7 weeks, 1 lesson per week that parallels the course studies we will have, each with significant objectives to cover. Although there is quite a bit of overlap, for the most part, the projected uncovered scenarios that require decisions to be made to meet these objectives, whether they are planned or unplanned. Of the objective listed here, the highlighted ones reflect 3 key decisions for a sticker impact. The first one is select a localization vendor for a profile criteria. Decision number 1. Number 2, right here, demonstrate how to manage a schedule slip when impacted. Analyze a scope change from a financial feasibility. That will be the Spanish language program when it's introduced. You have to figure out what to do with that. Create a communication deal with a conflict. You will be having a conflict with one of the characters in the simulation. Yes, it will stress you out. It's interesting though. All right, key decisions. Here's a really good matrix of picking a vendor, translation, quality, budget management, schedule management. Look at local contracts here, fully dependable on contract selection. It depends on contract selection. If quality is poor, a new resource must be hired. Cheapest option. Cons, only can hire one resource here with no backup. So if that resource falls out of place, you're gonna throw your schedule off track. Most control over the project. Significant startup delays. Resources hired can only hire one resource, might be slow progress. The second vendor, this option presents the highest quality translation, resulting in the lowest risk of any work. However, they have a proven track record of missing schedule deadlines, making date slippages and budget bloat a real possibility. So a lot of risk there. The third one down here, localization. Limited French and German translation, RTG localization for Japanese. This is a 2-company combo that both supply good quality translation representing a low risk of any reworks. They also are quite timely on schedule management. With this documented priority and this project in mind, this option represents the best overall localization vendor and the one you may want to choose for this project. But when you get to that time, you'll have the option of picking one of these 3 vendors. More key decisions. The second decision presented is possibility of a scope change mid-project. The VP of Sales, Nicholas Prince, presented an opportunity to add a Spanish localization to the project to meet expanded sales in Spain. The local LawNet office in Madrid provided some sales projections that showed the potential cost of adding this language might be made up as little as 5 months, which is quite good as far as cost return. With that said, the numbers don't fully represent the loss of revenue that may be caused if the German, French, and Japanese languages are delayed. With localization tasks currently underway for the 3 approved languages, and any delay would set the critical path to this new language and potentially delay the project weeks or even months, therefore preventing distribution and establishing a project decision. It is up to you to take on the Spanish project or not. So there's a decision making there. Poor translation. What do you do with these? What happens when you're faced with a quality issue? The last decision presented in this case, the localization for the French-German poor prepared translation. The problem was detected by an equality check by local sim office in Germany and France, which is typically a small amount of work and off hours, and verified quality turned into hours of work for these offices. When confronted, the vendor acknowledged, apologized, and ever stated they had some inexperienced personnel working on the project and that the problem would be corrected free of charge. The error did not occur any additional costs, which is good. Or any slippages on the baseline, which is good. Although we currently contractually are able to penalize the vendor for a quality error, it was decided to warn the vendor and forego any court penalty. This would still instill some goodwill with the vendor. Next project, let's learn, the vendor move on. So that's how some ideas of how to respond to the vendor quality issue. Some lessons learned. In addition to the vendor, a good procedure, any documentation, any lesson learned may have been during the project. Both successes and failures should be generated as a project progress analyzed to see if there is any changes that may be made to be better in the next project. Look at the successes. Here are the opportunities to give the team accolades and lock in any procedure went especially well. Overall, we were happy with the vendor selection. The quality issues were a setback, but one that should be remembered in the future. The fact that the project came in on budget, on time, speaks volumes of the vendor capabilities. Also, even though we ultimately decided not to change the scope, the way the project team came together and analyzed the Spanish issue is admirable. So, hint there. You get to hear about the Spanish program. You have to make a decision whether to take it on or not. Some lessons learned here. Even though looking at the failures of the project, the items here are also veiled successes. Each of these items are not deal breakers. Each of them represents an opportunity to fine-tune the process and better future projects. Even the quality issues with localization LTD, I suspect there will be one-time problem as both companies look at lessons learned. The level of retrospect is crucial to learning past mistakes and using these failures as an opportunity of advancement. Learning curve benefits as team learns. We can expect the team to work effectively with less risk and project is no different, provided we use the same vendor and project team. Each subsequent project we see a decrease of 10 to 30% in labor costs each time a project number doubles. For instance, the second project completed will result in 10 to 30% decrease. The fourth should see another decrease again, and then the eighth, and so on. Learning curve benefits is fundamental to project management. When looking at the quality issue with localization LTD, it was determined to inexperienced staff and the vendor's translation team. When the vendor is showing solid leadership, project skills, we can expect the issue to be resolved on their end as a new translator learns the nuances of the project. We can also expect the quality of the translators will get better as the translators learn from the terminology and become more familiar with the product requirements. Our own internal development team should also benefit from learning curve. When developing the pseudo translation, we should be able to provide a more exact estimation time next time. Best practices. Okay, we have looked at specific lessons and learned from the project. We now need to shift to thinking slightly different from looking for best practices. Project managers function with the idea that there is always a better way of doing things. Over each project iteration, these changes can be measured to find the most effective way of accomplishing a task. Since our view that the simulation has been limited to one project, it will be difficult to find specific project practices to improve over time. Therefore, I've chosen to utilize commitments to continue improvement on the basis of the best practices listed here. These best practices are divided between different levels of focus and organization. It is important to divide best practices into these sections as each area has different stakeholders. However, it is important to note Each level builds from the previous level. Anyone on the project will be able to commit to the company project level, yet may have their own individual best practices that are best suited to them. And with that said, that's the conclusion. Uh, with that, we've analyzed the simulation and looked at a few key decisions, how these decisions are translated and into lessons learned. We established best practices, better the process for projects to come. This was a productive endeavor. It will help you to tie together many of the principles learned in the course material. It gives us a safe place to explore downstream effects of decisions within the simulator. It also helps us prepare for types of decisions we will make as a project manager. Most important, we didn't anger Simon. When he becomes a Skynet, we now only hope he looks at us favorably for the hard work that we did. Thanks for the good experience, Simon. It can get you one smile on the end. No, okay, maybe next year. Yeah, Simon is pretty emotional. He'll keep you going. He'll probably bore you sometimes, but that's okay. Again, this is the end of the presentation. This is a big picture overview of the simulation and product what you'll be doing in your portfolio project. I hope this did provide some insight to the simulation before you jump into it. Hope that it reduced some anxiety. Again, I'm Dr. Hogan. I'll be your facilitator and instructor of this course. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you, and have a great course.